Hey everybody, I would like to invite you all to my course, Understanding Humanity, and this is the curriculum here that I'm gonna hold and explain. And I'll tell you right away, it's 12 lessons and it's packed and it's a lot of work. There is a workbook, there is your political analysis you have to do, and on top of that, you'd have to also dive in and understand what you could do to make your surroundings better. And let me explain why I do it the way I do. First of all, I believe in go big or go home. And it's the same with the course. I don't want to waste my time or your time. And sometimes you just have to dive in and do something properly. Why? Because it is time. It is time for us to change the world. So why did I call the course Understanding Humanity if I want to change the world? First of all, because now more than anything, I understand that changing the world is something most people just don't believe they could do unless they're a Jew. Like it has a rhythm. Understanding humanity is how you change it as well. You know, there are a lot of things that you can do once you understand the mechanism behind the world, honestly. So what do we do? So it's 12 classes, frontal, with a group, in a Zoom. Why? Because in order to understand humanity, you need to understand people from other cultures as well. Let me give you an example. On my Substack, I don't know if you guys followed, I made several articles about the music theory explaining why Israelis are different and why they are so keen and ready to change the world. Unfortunately, as an Israeli, I understand that a lot of times they do it without understanding humanity. And that is something I would recommend to consider knowing before you decide to change something. And on the other hand, of course, is that some doctrines out there do understand humanity, but not necessarily have a need to change the world for the better. The first lesson that we would have is the opening. In the opening, we're gonna make an oath. We're gonna introduce each other and get to know each other, and we're gonna go through the oath that is in the workbook and what does it mean. We're gonna promise to not be in our own ways while we do what we do. Second meeting is you. Understanding humanity starts with understanding yourself, of course. The reason I can do what I do is because I grew up in a multicultural household, and on top of that, I lived in a third country and I spent my summers in a fourth country. And I had to understand the fifth kind of thinking when I saw what I saw as a child. So what am I saying? So my dad is from Georgia and my mom is from Russia. And for those who don't know, these are completely different kind of cultures. Russians wouldn't open their home to someone they wouldn't trust. Georgians would invite you right away and open their house and feed you and drink with you. And this is why a lot of Russians grew up believing that Georgians are so kind-hearted and so trusting, where my dad, who is Georgian, would try to warn them, yes, they would do that, but the next day they would betray you. Because it's not about trust, it's something different. Don't think that somebody is good just because you are being treated nicely in your own cultural frame. Another thing that's interesting that is very different is politeness and thank you and please, something that Russians do, while Georgians don't. Actually, they don't do that to an extent that the word please does not exist in the Georgian language. And if we are talking about Kurdish, then you wouldn't even have the word thank you. So this is how different societies and cultures could be. And I grew up in Israel with that clash in home, and then a third very different culture outside, and then a fourth when I spent my summers in the United States in summer camps. And the fifth is, of course, being surrounded by Arabs and watching and seeing buses explode. I also had to understand that. And that opened up my mind into seeing things very differently, very, very differently, because it was so much ingrained in me that need to survive all that different cultural dynamics that even though I was confused and baffled, by the time I got to now, I managed to figure it out. It was not an easy task, and this is why I can do what I do. We're gonna unpack how your special circumstances make you you, but deeper than that, we're gonna understand what's important to you. Believe it or not, a lot of times we have similar values, but the clashes, they come because we have different priorities. Priorities often matter more than what in general we can agree or disagree with, because values clash. Then we're going to talk about geography. Why geography? Geography is the basis, it's the background. So as humans, when we are in a certain geography, right, especially now when we have different cultures, like I said, Israeli, Georgian, Russian, American, Arab, the geography makes us different. Here's an easy example. So think about the dodo. The dodo is a bird that went extinct because it didn't have fear from predators, because it was on an island. So imagine how funny it would be if a land bird, like an ostrich, that is kind of, I think it's kind of aware of the surroundings, kind of vigilant and like paranoid, relatively speaking, especially compared to a dodo. I think so. It might not be an ostrich. I'm not a biologist. It's not my realm, but let's imagine it is. Now imagine an ostrich moving to that island and then acting paranoid the way it does. Can you imagine how would the dodo, like those who are in the majority in that island, would look at the ostrich and their vigilance and be like, oh my God, why are you so chill, dude? Something is wrong with you. And then humanity came and ate all the dodos. So geography matters. The way you look at the world, you cannot understand you wouldn't understand, the dodos would just not understand why the ostrich is so paranoid, because of geography. And guess what? You know how weird the Jews are? What if I told you that Judea is located in a special occasion that is unparalleled? A very good reason to why that weird creature called the Jew was created specifically there. So that's important. Then we're going to talk about politics. Politics is group dynamics. The reason I talk about politics and then trade in the fifth is because you have to sustain yourself. So politics allow you to arrange a group. I don't know if you guys noticed, but humans, how would I say it? Like, we will die if we're alone. And this is also something that a lot of cultures that focus on individuality tend to forget. Humans don't survive well on their own. Maybe after they came into an area and cleared all the bears, then they survive. But without that clearance job that, it's a side effect of our ancestors spreading, living in a forest would be way harder, for example. But in general, like most humans, the vast majority of them are not good alone. So politics is necessary for our survival. And trade. Trade is also necessary. We had been doing trade for a long time, and we can live in certain areas because we bring things from other areas with us. And we can live in different places because of trade. So trade is crucial also to understand war dynamics. And then we're going to talk about culture. Now, culture is what I would define in my workbook. So in the workbook, it's a bit more primitive. It's the decisions that a group makes that is unrelated to geography. Meaning there are things that you can decide on and it has little to do with the geography you are at. And this is the beginning of culture. So this is what you do in the workbook. We have politics, which is a group, and trade and culture. That's more sustainable and bigger. And then we have borders. So the 7th class will be on borders, how they form, natural borders, made up borders, everything like that, and their significance. We're going to talk about societal structures. How do we build a society on a larger scale? So societal structures is the 8th lesson. religion is the 9th, and you're going to build your own religion. And I also want to add that, for example, things that we do in the religion workbook, it's a choice for you whether you want to share it or not. But the workbook breaks down religion. You start your own religion. You decide how you structure it, why you structure it that way, and understanding the significance and dynamics of religion is also something that we're going to do during that course. And economy and law are 10th. And geopolitics, that's a little less clear. The reason I call it geopolitics is because it kind of takes everything and brings geography back, right? So a lot of times people think, okay, we're now above geography, but we're not. Even after we went through all of that, it all goes back to geopolitics. And that's what we're going to focus on the 11th. We're going to summarize everything and prepare for the graduation, where you're going to show your presentation with your analysis question that you're going to present. Now, the course costs $450, and it's an investment both in time, work, and money, and that is the plan. And I would love to hear how much you guys are interested. I really believe this is something we have to do. And like I said before, one grain of rice could make the difference between a loss and a victory. And I want you guys to be that grain of rice. I really do. And I believe you could. So this is a journey we can take together, and I would love to see you in my course. And so I wrote down some times that I offered to do my class in the description in the course, right, in the link below where you can sign up. But feel free to write in the comments your time restrictions or time requests and whether you're interested or not. And that's it. That's all I have to say. And I hope that we can make it happen and we can make the world a better place. Thank you all for being here. See you later.